Hello, welcome to my visual CGI showcase. Before I start showing off different types of computer-generated images, or CGI for short, I will give a short overview of the history of CGI in film. In 1963, Harry Hossin created his most famous stop-motion sequence, the skeleton battle, which inspires filmmakers to this day. This is the first time CGI was ever used in film, and even though it may not look like much, this was a huge step in the CGI world. Over 20 years later, Industrial Light and Magic, ILM for short, would bring the first photo-real computer-generated character to the screen in the form of the stained glass knight. 2 years later, ILM recycled and improved upon this effect and used it for the liquid metal cyborg in Terminator. The visual effects were again honored by the Academy. In 1993, Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park revolutionized computer graphics. It brought to the screen photoreal dinosaurs complete with skeletons, textured skins, and detailed muscles. Spielberg had originally intended to use stop motion or other go motion dinosaurs, yet abandoned the idea when ILM proved that they were up to the test. The team of go motion animators used so-called dinosaur input devices, which was essentially an armature that was hooked up to a workstation, to convert their poses in real life into keyframes that the computer could read and turn into real animations. In order to get a feel for the movement of the giant creatures, the animators studied footage of appropriate animals and of themselves running around and jumping over obstacles. From that, they devised various walk cycles and were now able to have them believably interact with the environment. The work done by the animators were honored by the Academy. In 1995, ILM created the first computer-animated title character in a film, Casper the Friendly Ghost. And in 2001, Square Pictures created the first hyper-real, fully computer-generated feature film based on original designs, but because of low box office earnings, the movie was ultimately a financial disaster. The character Davy Jones in the second Pirates of the Caribbean movie was so well animated that some critics mistakenly thought they were watching a live action performance with an actor wearing prosthetic makeup. As you can tell, CGI has come a long way over the years. Some people say that CGI is the downfall of modern media because it takes the skill out of the filming process. I personally think that CGI is very important to modern day films, and without it, movies would be stale and unoriginal. Now moving on to the common actual uses of CGI in modern day film. Chroma keying, aka green screening, is a visual effects technique for layering two video streams together based on color cues. This is a very important part of modern day media and filmmaking, and without it, studios would not be able to easily insert footage, meaning everything would have to happen in one take. An important part of the chroma keying process is rotoscoping. Rotoscoping is an animation technique used by animators to trace over motion picture footage frame by frame when realistic action is required. Originally photographed live action movie images were projected onto a glass panel and redrawn by an animator. This projection equipment is called a rotoscope. The device was eventually replaced by computers, but the process is still referred to as rotoscoping. In the visual effects industry, the term rotoscoping refers to the technique of manually creating a matte for an element on a live action plate, so it may be composited over another background in a chroma keying environment. Without this process, there would be no way to separate the chroma keyed objects and the background. Another important CGI effect is motion capture. Motion capture, mocap for short, is the process of recording the movement of objects or people. It is used in the military, entertainment, sports, medical applications, and robotics, but in filmmaking it is used to record the actions of human actors, and using that information to animate digital characters or models in a 2D or 3D computer animation. It includes face and fingers or captures subtle expressions. It is often referred to as performance capture. Without mocap suits, it would be incredibly tedious to animate moving humans because you'd have to animate every joint for every frame, and there are at least 25 frames per second in a movie. Other types of CG include explosion effects that are generated in a computer and are added in post-production to cut down on pyrotechnics and the overall movie cost. Armor and clothing is often CGI because real armor can restrict an actor's movement or is just too heavy for them to act in. A popular example of this is Iron Man's suit, which is completely computer generated. Gore is also often CGI because it is easier to animate a limb being chopped off than it is to create a fake limb with fake blood and bone that an actor has to use during a scene. When it comes to lower and mid-tier budget movies, guns and weapons are often CG in one way or another. The most common use of CGI in weapons is to create fake muzzle flashes when a gun is firing. This saves production a lot of money by getting rid of the need for blanks, and it allows smaller budget film studios to use prop guns and still get that realistic gunshot that every action movie needs. Sometimes weapons are completely CGI. This is most common in sci-fi movies because the weapons used in those movies are typically futuristic and require a completely new weapon design. This is often done in post, then added to the scene later. This gives studios creative freedom because it allows them to create weapons that would be physically impossible to build as a real prop. Oftentimes, large set pieces like New York City from the Avengers are completely CGI, so that the studio has a lot more creative options when it comes to city destruction and set changes. All of the action is filmed beforehand in an elaborate green screen room, and the city is added in post-production. CGI is very important to modern media, and without it, movies would be incredibly simple and expensive. The evolution of CGI has opened the door for smaller studios to create blockbuster quality movies for a fraction of the cost. There are many more uses for CGI in movies, but this video would never end if I went over all of them. If you're interested in learning more about the art of CGI, then you may want to check out CGI, The Art of 3D Computer Generated Images by Peter Wilshire. I'll provide a link in the description of the video. Thank you for watching.